Honorable world leaders, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, bienvenue au Forum mondial.
Welcome to this Global Forum for Vaccine Sovereignty and Innovation. My name is Karine Guillaume and I am honored to welcome you to this event today. I would like to thank, first of all, the government of France for hosting us at the Quai d'Orsay in this spectacular room. I would also like to thank the co-host, the African Union, for their invaluable support. Last year, Gavi hit a milestone, 1 billion vaccinated children, and you'll today discover Gavi's plans to protect even more children against even more diseases and faster than ever before. So to vaccinate more children against more diseases faster than ever before. Thank you, world leaders, government leaders, leaders of partners, private sector CSOs, for working together today to launch the sixth strategic period, Gavi 6.0. 6.0, as we say. And we'll also be launching AVMA, the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator. I will try to limit acronyms today. I'll try my best. It is a busy day that lies ahead of us today.
I have the great pleasure of inviting Professor José Manuel Barroso board to the stage. Professor Barroso, over to you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, President of the Republic, honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests. It is an honor and an incredible privilege to welcome you this morning. I am deeply grateful to you all for joining us. And of course, I extend my deepest gratitude to President Macron and President Ghazouani, our incredible hosts that have brought us together today. Allow me, President Macron, to say thank you, a very special thank you for your unwavering support to Gavi and to our organization. Thank you to France, but thank you as well for your work within the EU and Team Europe. The EU is one of our biggest donors. I would also like to say a special thanks to the African Union. We are very proud of the President of Botswana, of Ghana and Rwanda and Senegal for being here with us today. Africa is also represented here by a high number of health ministers and of the President of Africa CDC and the Chair of the African Commission. Now, we're often told that multilateralism and cooperation are in retreat, that nationalism, cynicism, and self-interest are triumphing over the values of solidarity and justice. But seeing this wonderful room today, I see a very different picture. What do I see? I see faces of people that have worked together to halve child mortality over the past 20 years. I see faith in a better future, and I see commitment to working together to make that future a reality. I see hope. In spite of all the geopolitical tension in the world today, we are faced with a simple truth, an unavoidable truth, that global challenges need global solutions. Global challenges that define this century, climate change, antibiotic resistance, outbreaks of infectious diseases, they need solutions based on partnership, cooperation and solidarity. Qualities that are at the heart of today's forum, at the very core of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and I am honored to chair the board of Gavi. So today we're here to discuss practical steps to shape a better world. We know that we can do it because we have been doing it for 20 years. 1 billion vaccinated children since the year 2000. That's an incredible achievement. And we should all be proud to say that a child born today is more likely to celebrate their 5th birthday than any other time in history before. But, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we can do more. There are still millions of children who have never been vaccinated against a single disease. There are hundreds of millions more that have an urgent need to access a growing number of vaccines of our portfolio that is expanding, that can protect individuals, communities, countries, and essentially the world from deadly yet preventable diseases.
Today we'll hear about new vaccines, new partnerships, new approaches, and new innovations to drive equity, access and development, and strengthens health security and sovereignty. This last word is key. Too often, sovereignty is misunderstood as opposite to cooperation, partnership and solidarity. This could not be further from the truth in the field of public health. The fundamentals of vaccine sovereignty, national ownership of immunization strategies, the ability to fund those strategies, and the security of vaccine supply can be strengthened most effectively by working together. Solidarity and sovereignty are symbiotic in this field of public health. We are at an inflection point, ladies and gentlemen. Few avenues of human endeavor promise as much for humanity over the coming years as immunization. But we cannot underestimate the challenges that remain. The Sustainable Development Goal deadline of 2030 is approaching very fast. Our decisions today and in the months ahead, our commitment to extending the transformative power of immunization into every community will be decisive factors in determining whether we can look back from the vantage point of 2030 with pride and satisfaction, or whether we will look back in anguish at missed opportunities and squandered potential. I strongly believe that the prevailing narrative in the world today, a narrative of retrenchment and fragmentation, is misleading. We must not allow it to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Today gives us an opportunity to reset that narrative, to come together for a common cause that we have already done so much to further. And this forum can contribute to the beginning of a new era for immunization and equity. Together, we can accelerate progress towards making this the most protected generation in history. We will show that the so-called realists, and sometimes there is a very different understanding what is a realist, what is a cynic. The realists and cynics are not always right. Hope is not only a duty, but is the best way for justice. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to say we have a very packed and fascinating program ahead of us. As it was already mentioned, in fact, it are two programs combined. And it's not a coincidence. We are going to present the investment opportunity for Gavi for the years 2026-2030. At the same time, we are presenting AVMA, the launch of AVMA, the Africa Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator. And this is exactly about what we mean about accelerating our action, increasing capacity to deliver results. I will now declare open this Global Forum for Vaccine Sovereignty and Innovation. I wish all of us a very good work. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Professor Barroso, for those powerful remarks. Looking around the room, I feel I must agree with you, because I see leaders who are not only united in their dedication to solving challenges through collective union, they can demonstrate the results to prove it. Nous allons maintenant entendre son Excellence Monsieur Moussa Faki, président de la Commission de l'Union africaine. Monsieur le Président, je vous laisse la parole.
Over to you, Moussa Faki. Emmanuel Macron, President of the French Republic, ladies and gentlemen, heads of state and government and delegations, Professor Barroso, Chair of the Gavi Board, ministers, representatives of international organizations, friends from civil society and the private sector, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Africa, in the face of its fate, is now seeing a multiplicity of crises that are major, from climate change to governance problems, and also communication, infrastructure problems, energy issues, agriculture, food needs, and health questions as well. Even relative autonomy in terms of manufacturing vaccines and health supplies is another item on this list. According to current data, the African continent is still very low on those ranking boards. And so our strength is to unite our voices and efforts to change this intolerable situation. I would like to highlight the fact that in spite of the importance of this international event, Africa must find solutions for itself. Indeed, health security and vaccines and political sovereignty must be conquered. Sovereignty must be conquered. The 2060 agenda and the 2030 agenda have lots of objectives to achieve, and independence and the independence of the African people are deeply threatened as long as if we do not reach all of those objectives. COVID-19 and other crises show that African resilience is not enough. So governments that are here today to see the launch of AVMA, the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator, we believe that that is a crucial step towards capacity building of manufacturing and distribution of vaccines in Africa. By investing $1 billion, GAVI is giving a positive signal to all partners in Africa. I hope that others will join in. I would like to take this opportunity to say long live GAVI. Sanya Nishtar, who is CEO of GAVI, its partners and funders, I would like to thank you. However, legal frameworks, subpar infrastructure, weak expertise, and lack of funding are all major challenges. But global health is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is vital. The continent still imports 99% of all vaccines at very high prices, meaning the continent is highly reliant on imports. And $3 billion a year could be saved by manufacturing local vaccines. So there is a lot to gain. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to see that there are some African countries that are on the right track. I would like to pay tribute to these countries' leaders. Some of those leaders are here with us today. The steps forward have been decisive, but of course limited. The Senegal Pasteur Institute, the African branch of that institute, is remarkable. There's the South African BioNTech Institute that has a manufacturing unit in Rwanda, and other similar initiatives are underway in other regions on the continent. However, in the face of hesitancy, it is good news to see that the accelerator, the African Vaccine Manufacturer Accelerator, can support the African Union's partnerships for African vaccine manufacturing and the CDC's new health order to accelerate access to vaccines and their distribution. AVMA will be a catalyst for the pharmaceutical industry in Africa. It will create an environment conducive to technology transfer, technological assistance, innovation, and cooperation among states. Africa CDC is called upon to increase manufacturing capacities for medicines in Africa by 1 to 60% by 2040. So as part of this movement, the continental free trade area that is underway, that will no doubt support the integration of global health sovereignty on the continent. By supporting inter-African trade, by bringing down trade barriers, it will enable greater access to raw materials and will accelerate manufacturing and distribution processes of vaccines across the continent. So it is within our abilities to use all of these tools and instruments to give, and all of that will give us a strength moving forward. And I call on all African Union members to join their efforts to AVMA and to actively participate in research and acquisition and infrastructure increase. I would like to express my gratitude to those who took part in creating AVMA. I would like to commend in particular the role played by France and President Emmanuel Macron in this adventure that has brought us here together. I would like to reiterate the African Union's commitment to work with determination to the progressive progress of health security in Africa. Thank you very much.
Merci. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Chairperson. Indeed, we support the efforts deployed by the African Union Commission to accelerate the use of vaccines in the states of the African Union. Now I have the great honor of handing the floor to President Emmanuel Macron, President of France. The fact that you are hosting this event is testament to France's commitment to support new innovation that contributes to protecting all of us against new threats and bolstering health systems that exist to support more children and the broader population. You have the floor. Thank you very much. Presidents of the Republic of Botswana, of Ghana, of Rwanda and Senegal, President or Chair of the African Union Commission, Moussa Faki, Mr. Barroso, leaders of international organizations, Commissioner, ministers, ambassadors, CEOs of pharmaceutical companies and research laboratories, CDC Africa, representatives of civil society committed to global health, dear friends. I am very proud of our collective journey over the past few years that has put global health at the top of the international priority list because it is vital, it's in our collective interest to protect ourselves. And it is something that has been led in rich countries, and it's about partnership in the genuine sense of the term. It's not assistance, because if we do not protect continents that are affected by pandemics, then the whole world will be affected. Health is also a fundamental right. It is about equity and progress. It is about equality among women and men. Health is also about sovereignty, which is at the heart of this partnership that you mentioned between Europe and Africa, that we reiterated at the latest summit between the African Union and the European Union. Global health has become geopolitical, and health cooperation is a proof of mutual trust. This struggle for global health is taxing, and I would like to say here that France has taken it on and is proud to do so. Proud that France's contribution to international solidarity has increased by 50% in 7 years, with a sharp focus on health. Proud to protect tools such as the FSD, the Fund for Solidarity and Development, and that direct and symbolic link between taxing globalization, for instance, plane tickets and financial transactions, and financing international solidarity, and that will be protected at all costs. We can be proud of what we've achieved with the GAVI, the Vaccine Alliance, as an example, 1 billion vaccinated children. And this work is done in synergy with GAVI, UNTAID, and the World Health Organization, and many other partners as well. And when some are tempted to withdraw, when some consider that, in essence, helping Africa or other continents on these issues is unnecessary, and we could save money by not doing that. I would say that, on the contrary, this balanced partnership is essential for Africa, but also for understanding the global order of today. Now, this has all changed over the past few years. I know that you probably all remember the COVID times from the very first weeks. You invited me right from the beginning. I was at a WHO bureau meeting. President Kagame was there. I think President Fodo as well. Around President Ramaphosa and Musafaki as well. And it was the beginning of that pandemic that affected us all. And that's how we began to initiate the COVAX initiative that was then led by G20. But it stemmed from the African Union and that meeting we held together. And right from the start, we implemented solidarity mechanisms that didn't exist up until then. Doses, donations, initiatives for tests to roll out vaccines whenever they were available. But we also saw the limits of said solidarity. We all saw those limitations. And simply put, when the richest countries had access to those vaccines, they forgot about that solidarity, and even though mechanisms were put in place, and had we not done that, the situation would have been a lot worse. But we saw those limitations. Indeed, the primary health countries in many countries had not been invested in enough for a very long time, and by then it was too late. Another limitation, when times were hard and there weren't enough doses, the countries that manufactured doses kept them for themselves, and we in Europe also felt that because we were reliant on other countries, and also countries used doses for themselves before sending them to the others. And of course, Africa, who only had 2% of those doses, so yes, thank you for the solidarity, but in order to, exit this situation, manufacturing was going to be the solution. And so in the following months, manufacturing capacity was increased with the help of the Pasteur Institute in Dakar. We also created new capacity in Kigali, for instance. Or in South Africa, through partnerships, we created new capacity as well. And we began that work together by seeing that COVAX wasn't enough, because purchasing vaccines wasn't enough, but we had to manufacture them on the African continent. Africa manufactures only 2% of the vaccines that it uses, and the aim that we have set for ourselves is that by 2040, 60% of vaccines are manufactured on the continent. So France and Europe has been supporting this initiative since 2021 with 1.3 billion euros, but we can do more. And as Mr. Barroso just said, it is really with this at heart that we are launching the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator with the African Union to promote African manufacturing capacity. So the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator on African soil. So France has reallocated $100 million to this mechanism, and Team Europe, and thank you, Commissioner, for being here, is covering 3/4 of these $1.2 billion of financing. And I would like to thank partners, including United States, Canada, the UK, Norway, Japan, and the Gates Foundation. It is a global movement. AVMA, this accelerator for vaccine manufacturing, is a building block towards this genuine African vaccine market. It is an African movement, and we are happy to celebrate it in its first steps. This initiative that was designed by Africa. France is going to has invested 3 million euros since 2020 along 4 streams, and I'd like to recall this because this is part of a solidarity package, so to say. So, manufacturing capacity, by supporting South African labs, BioVac and Aspen, I visited in summer 2021, and the Dakar Pasteur Institute. Also, research and development, namely through this very ambitious initiative led by the WHO, thank you, Dr. Tedros, the Medicines Patent Pool, Charles Gore, the mRNA technology transfer hub in South Africa that has a presence in 15 countries, namely in Rwanda as well. Then regulatory capacity, and I'd like to commend Rwanda and Senegal for major progress and the future African Medicines Agency, and training professionals in the health supply manufacturing chains and the key role played by the WHO Academy. And I'm proud to say that France is joining the International Vaccine Institute that will be held in the Lyon Academy. We need the private sector, and I'd like to commend the commitment of many businesses and companies, whether it be U Biologics in Korea or Sanofi. They will be able to tell us a bit about more their announcements today. It is a strong signal of the ambition of AVMA. So investing in global health requires tireless effort. We have caught up some of the delays caused by the pandemics, the setbacks of the pandemics. There is still a long way to go before we reach our 2030 objectives, which is why here in Paris, we are launching the resource mobilization campaign for GAVI for 2026-2030. In line with France's historic commitment, I call on you to support this alliance that is a wonderful illustration, as Mr. Barroso said, of the effectiveness of multilateralism. France will continue to support GAVI for the 2026-2030 cycle, at least with the same amount of its previous pledge, in order to implement very concretely all of our priorities. And to do that, we need to clarify our collective scope of action, that of GAVI, and all other global health initiatives, the Global Fund, UNITAID, here today, the WHO for its standard-setting role and coordination role. I think that all of these agencies around the WHO will play an essential role, and we must continue to support that cooperation with, of course, the standard-setting role of the WHO, but with also by supporting national health strategies of countries, which is at the core of the new Global Financing Pact for People and the Planet that aims to support national health strategies. And many African leaders and ministers, their presence is required, and the condition for success is that all of these global strategies are built upon national strategies. So this ownership that you've talked about is key, but it's also something that we have learned from the pandemic. If there are no national strategies that are implemented by countries, and President Faoudo defended that throughout the crisis, so we'll know full well. These global strategies, these billions that we're investing, aren't effective because they can only be effective if there is a strong national strategy, a consolidated structure on which to implement that. And the AFD also put lots of funding into primary health care in these countries with an aim to support national strategies to bolster said health systems. I would like to end by saying a few words about the global epidemic of cholera. I think it is the sharpest illustration of why we need to continue what we're doing, because cholera has struck Africa, half of Africa, and the French territory of Mayotte. And in the face of this emergency, France is proud to have answered the WHO's call and we invite you to continue those supports. So in the face of these crises, our initiative to bolster manufacturing capacity makes perfect sense, because there's a very cheap and effective vaccine against cholera out there. Yet today we are facing a global dearth because there is only one manufacturer that is very far away from the African continent. So today, thanks to the efforts made by our partners and especially Gavi, I am thrilled to announce that a manufacturing chain for vaccines for cholera will be deployed in Africa through our partner BioVac. The tool that we are launching today, AVMA, will support those investments as a priority, which just goes to show how relevant this initiative is. France will allocate 10 million euros to accelerate the manufacturing of this cholera vaccine in South Africa. So if you share this ambition of making cholera a thing of the past, by supporting this emergency action, by supporting local manufacturing and long-term prevention, I call on you, all of you here today, to join this initiative against cholera alongside 12 countries and organizers that are here today with us in this room. I will leave it there. Thank you for your commitment every day, and the efforts made by Director Generals, leaders. I'd like to thank the WHO for its work and say how important the work of the African Union as partners is. There are so many priorities out there on the African continent: security, poverty, food, and I know how tempting it would be to let others take care of health. But it's through your consistency and your efforts that we can bolster African sovereignty, and that's how these initiatives can gain ground. And I'm thrilled for France to support you in that endeavor, and also to continue to stand alongside you. Thank you.
Merci, monsieur.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for all the good news. Thank you for this very positive announcement. You know that the support for France is essential for the success of the next strategic period. And let's listen now to His Excellency, Mr. Bassirou Diomaye Faye, President of Senegal. I'm a fan of him, and it is his first visit abroad since he was elected last April. You have the floor, sir.